Hello everyone. The time has sadly come to put my 2017 Honda Africa Twin motorcycle up for sale. This bike has been absolutely awesome and I am honestly sad to see it go, but just with things in life and various other things, the time has come for me to sell it and to move on. Honestly, my plan is to kind of switch down to probably a 500 dual sport, something kind of in that range, and continue riding there. But anyways, this is my overview video about my awesome bike here, the Africa Twin. I'm going to go into different things about the bike, things I've added to it, maintenance, and things that are also included with the purchase if you decide to buy this awesome bike. I am technically the second owner of this bike. I bought it in February or March of 2018. The previous owner was a retired sheriff who bought it for like 3 or 4 months, decided it was too much bike for him, and then sold it back to the dealer. So I came in and swooped it up. But anyways, we'll just kind of go over the bike from front to back, I guess. This is the manual version. It's not the DCT, so you have that in mind. Just kind of some things that I've added to it. The crash bars are Alt-Rider uppers, lowers, and the Alt-Rider skid plate. These have been absolutely awesome. As you can tell, this is an adventure bike, and I have definitely ridden it as such. This is not a adventure bike that, you know, I bought and just rode around on paved roads and went to Starbucks and that kind of thing. No, I definitely rode this as it was intended to be. And so, of course, I mean, as you can tell, there's some dings and scratches from, you know, crashing or falling over off-road in technical areas and different things. But these crash bars have held up very well. I am very pleased with them. I haven't had any issues, haven't had any bending or any distortion in the bars. They have held up and do hold up very well in all regards. So, Alt-Rider, way to go. I also added these Denali D4 auxiliary lights. They are very, very bright. And yeah, they're great for night riding, especially off-road. And they were definitely a good upgrade. Not the cheapest, but a good upgrade. Kind of going here to the dash. Here you have these Barkbuster handlebar guards. I can't think of the name. As you can tell, right? See, there's some scuff marks from branches and riding across brush or falling over various things. But these are very good. They have held up very well. Haven't had any issues with them. I also installed the double take mirrors when I first got the bike. These are really good. I like them, especially for off-roading. I'll just kind of tilt them in like that so they're not getting hit. And then it does have the heated grips, which are very nice for winter. They work very well. Haven't had any issues with those either. Here's the light switch for the auxiliary lights. I also just recently, in April, in April I did a trip down to Baja, and so I put this, or I added this Garmin GPS. I forget the model, but it's very, very, very good. I love it for off-roading because you can go into on the Garmin app or whatever and make a route and then upload it here, and it's great for especially off-roading. To just kind of, you know, have your route already pre-programmed and you just follow it, and that's been really good. I really like this. It wasn't cheap, this whole little setup here with the mount, and there's a little lock too I have so people don't just come up and steal it when you're at McDonald's or whatever. But you know, this whole thing about $600, but like I say, this has been really good and I really like it. Easy to use. There's YouTube videos, of course. And then these Honda Africa Twins, at least the 2017 models, this particular bar was always known to crack when people would mount their GPS directly to it. So I added this Camel ADV kind of support bar that helps just with the mounting of this. And of course you can always mount, cameras or whatever else you want to also off of this bar. But that has been very good. And as you can see, 46,114 to be exact. Continuing on. Let's see. I also added just recently too in April this Camel ADV kickstand, and it has like this large foot peg, which is nice and soft dirt. That has been really good. These are upgraded pegs. I honestly don't know the name of them, but they've been really good. I guess you can something or other. But these are really good, nice and wide, and they got good grip with your boots. No problems there. Moving on, the chain itself. The chain is fairly new, or it's pretty new. It has probably less than 1,000 miles on it, maybe 800 or so. I put this back on in April of this year, 23. So that's all good. And then kind of going to the back, let me turn the switch off. Going back to the back, I put also on this year, I upgraded it. I had a SW Motec kind of rear rack back here, and it just wasn't really that good. So I put this Tusk one on this year, and it has held up very well. The nice one about this style is that it's actually mounted, to the frame and stuff. So that's been really good. As you can see, in case you're wondering what this is for, I run Moto soft bags on here, panniers. We'll go over that later. But this is, if you ever wanted to put on the Tusk hard cases, I have all the mounting hardware that I have in a bag that would come with the purchase as well, in case you ever wanted to go hard box style. I have the stuff for that. Going up here, I have removed the passenger seat and added this 2 or 3 years ago. This has been an awesome upgrade. I usually run, as you can kind of see, a Rotopax. I have 2 1-gallons. Usually I'm just running 1 gallon back here, but on some trips I'll bring 2 just because I'm kind of paranoid about being prepared. And then this rear rack from Tusk, also very nice. I run a Moto Scout bag. I think it's a 30L, 30. That works really well up here. That's been good. Hold up very nice. Kind of coming around the thing. It's registered until December of this year in beautiful California. Registration for this bike runs, at least in this state, which charges you up the wazoo, about $220 a year. So it's not horrible, but whatever. Moving on down to here, this particular tire is the Motaz, Tractionator Adventure. Yeah, this tire literally has less than 500 miles on it. It's basically brand new. I just did 1 trip on it a month or 2 ago, and honestly haven't really ridden the bike in about a month. So these tires are awesome. Great. I get great mileage, both. Or just overall mileage on them, riding both, road and off-road. I think the last set I got around 6,000 miles on them, somewhere in there. And then like I said, new brake pads, as you can see, and then this actual rotor too is also new that I bought this year. The one that was on here before, I don't know, somehow it got warped or something, or it kept making a weird sound, so I just spent the money and just bought a new rotor, and that was that. And so anyways, everything works good here. Awesome. Again, this is the other side of the Tusk rear rack. Awesome. I put this little beauty off of Amazon, but it works pretty good, or has. It just covers the rear brake reservoir, so it's just plastic, so that helps to prevent getting broke off easily. Again, here's the upgraded peg on the right side. I love this little thing. for off-roading, because when you're just normal street riding or when you're sitting, your boot's like this, so it's nice. And then when you off-road, your angle automatically, it raises up, so then when you're pressing the brake while off-roading, your boot is just on this. And this, I don't know, I absolutely love this setup. I will say the only downside to this, you just gotta I even put red Loctite all in there, but you just kind of have to watch this nut, because it will, over time, it will get a little loose. So you want to make sure that just stays tight. But anyways, that has always been really good. Also, if you go down on the right, like if you are off-roading, you fall on the right, this sometimes will get kind of bent, but I always have like a crescent wrench with me. I just bend it back, so it's never been a big issue. It's always worked well, and just for this setup, it's definitely worth the little knickknacks or whatever you want to call it. I also added this Camelback brace for the right peg, because these earlier model 2017 Africa Twins has been like, this peg has been known to kind of shear off, so this little pad here helps to prevent that from happening by protecting that, if that makes sense. Alt-rider skid plate. Trying to think of anything else. Oh, one thing that is kind of funny about this bike. Of course, you can't really see. Again, this is the Alt-rider skid plate. About a year after I bought the bike, user error, but I stripped out the bolt, or a couple of the bolts, very bad on the bottom of the skid plate, because I had over tightened it when I installed it. Anywho, that led to me having to grind out the bolt heads, if that makes sense. So, long story short, I just added a metal plate instead of having to buy a whole nother $380 skid plate or whatever it is. I just added a plate, drilled holes in it, and that just kind of and then it all holds in. I've never had any issue with this setup at all. It's always held up very well, but it is something to note, and I will make sure to have pictures of it to give you a better idea. Of course, here's the front brakes. Also, new pads on both. Also, with this Honda Africa Twin, if you read around, it is very well known, especially in these 2017 years, that the front fork seals blow out at 30,000 miles, around 30,000 miles, and lo and behold, like within a few hundred miles after I hit 30,000, they both blew out while I was on a trip. So I had these replaced by Daredevil Motorsports here in Sacramento, and they put beefier seals on these both sides, and I haven't had any issues since. So those have held up very well. Kind of moving on, this front tire, again, also Motaz Tractionator Adventure, I think it's one of those. Front, this tire in particular probably has about 1,000 miles on it, because I rode down to Mexico and then, anyways, did a short trip. But this one has 1,000 miles, but as you can see, there's plenty of tread left for adventures. Just kind of going back overall, I'm going to have my Instagram linked below, and as you can kind of tell in this walk around video that, you know, this is an adventure bike. I've used it as such. There are some scuffs, as you can see. This is kind of my fault. When I first installed these, I had them installed closer to the middle there, and so when I was off-roading, it would just kept hitting it. So that's where this is from the lights, hence why I moved them out. Another thing on these Africa Twin, you'll see people that to get to the air filters to clean them out, which I just did a few days ago, so those are all good. You got to take off these side panels on both sides, because there's a filter on each. I usually take off the bars to change or to clean them out, but you don't have to. You can technically just loosen them and you can wiggle it out, but anyhow, do as you will. But I will just point out a couple little things. This happened a couple of years ago, but one of the little clips in here kind of broke off, I think when I was kind of first learning to take these off. So this little part just doesn't clip all the way, but I mean everything else is good there. I will say it does seem like a pain to have to take all this off. I mean, and it kind of is, not gonna lie, to get to the air filters. But once you do it once or twice, it is very easy. You just have a couple Allen screws and those little plastic pins that pop out, and the thing just kind of pulls out. You just kind of, I usually work from this side up to the front, and it pulls out. One little thing on this side with regards to the plastic, as you can see here, there's a little crack, kind of where this mounts. I glued it with super glue, honestly, and I haven't had any problem with that for a long time. I just, yeah, like I say, I mean, because it's plastic, you always kind of be careful taking it off. But yeah, that is, ever since I glued it, I haven't had any issue with that, getting that off or put back on. You can see the windscreen, right? It's got some, it's taken some brush. It's got some scuff marks. I'm sure you can probably polish most of that out of there if you wanted to, but again, I view this as an adventure bike. I personally view like all these as just like, I don't know, memories, right? That's how I view it, but to each their own. The battery, which you can't see, is an upgraded, what is it? I can't think of it. It's an expensive battery. I put an expensive one in there. If someone comes to buy it and they want to look, I can be happy to pop that off and you can take a look, but haven't had any issues there. I'm trying to think, other things. Let's see. I don't know, this bike has just been awesome. I don't want to go too long on this video. But anyhow, yes. Going to some other things that also are included with your purchase price are here's the original passenger seat. So if you want to put that back on, you can take the Tusk passenger rack off and put that back on so you can have a passenger. 2 1-gallon roto packs. These are awesome. Every time I go on even like a day trip, I always take one of them just in case. I've honestly very rarely ever had to actually use them because I don't know, I just generally plan pretty good on my routing. But anyhow, and then if you want to take both, you can just use both of these and they stack on top of each other and locked in really place. Those work great. Here's the Moscow Moto Nomad tank bag. I've absolutely loved this bag. It's the one I use 95% of the time. It also has a water bladder. I think it's 1 liter or 1.5 liters. That is awesome. I'm not going to sell the bladder, because that'd be kind of gross. You can buy your own water bladder, but this bag has been awesome. It's got great, different storage and things, and I mean, you can look it up. You probably already know if you're going to buy it. Here is a Scout duffel bag. This is the bag that I run on the back of the bike on the rear plate there. The only thing I'll point out with this bag is I got a small hole in it earlier this year. I put this patch on it. It's technically not a waterproof patch, but I still haven't had any issues with water. But if you really wanted to, you could put an actual waterproof patch on there. But that's kind of that. Here is a Nelson Rig waterproof tank bag, obviously a lot bigger than the Moscow Moto. I honestly haven't used this too much, at least in the last couple of years. But this is a really good bag if you're going to be commuting to work, which a lot of the miles that I racked up with this bike, the first few years were commuting every day to work because I didn't have a car, so I rode on the freeway every day to work. But this is nice because it's got a lot of space and it's waterproof, so that's cool there. And then here's the bags the panniers that I had mentioned earlier from Moscow Moto. These things are indestructible. They have been absolutely amazing. And as you can see, of course, you know, little scratches and scuffs, whatever, from brush and stuff. I did just upgrade, as you can kind of see the material there, little, whatever you want to call that. So I added these brush guards onto the bag in April of this year, which these help really good to prevent this and just kind of protecting the side of the bag overall. Again, I'm just kind of showing that one as well. And then I haven't used this in a long time, but it's also included in the price. Again, if you are going to be commuting, I used to run this a lot in the back. This Givy Trekker, you know, hard Outback box. It locks. It's made very well, and has all the mounting hardware if you wanted to run it. And again, this is included in the purchase price. It'd probably take you 10 minutes to swap this over. You just have to take off the rack that's on there now, put this one on, these little mounts, and it just kind of locks in place, and it's very handy. And this is the larger one too. You can fit, actually you can fit 2 helmets side by side, or like when I'm commuting, I always could fit my helmet, my jacket, gloves, all that in here, and then I can close it up, and I have a key to lock it. So, yeah, all these things are also included. There's a few other things that are included. I have in my cupboard just some spare little screws and random stuff that I've kind of collected over the years of owning this awesome bike, which I'll be happy to give to you. I think I also have some oil that I've, you know, from previous oil changes. You can have that too. And yeah. I think that's about it for this. Please feel free to message me or whatever, ask any questions, happy to answer them. And yeah, here's my 2017 Honda Africa Twin manual for sale. Thank you very much, and I look forward to talking to you. Thanks.